My name is Caleb McElroy, and in this speech, I will be persuading you guys to believe that the Second Amendment protects people more than it harms them. I'll describe to my audience how a gun works. I'll also describe to them different types of guns, and I'll describe to my audience different ways a gun can be used for good and to be harmful. And lastly, I'll describe to my audience why it is good to be smart while exercising your Second Amendment. So my first point will just be how a gun works. And according to thefreedictionary.com, a gun is a weapon consisting of a metal tube from which a projectile is fired at high velocity into a relatively flat trajectory. Now, that probably didn't make a lot of sense to you guys, but that's why I've got this gun right here. Now, this is an airsoft gun. It's not a real gun, but I guess it kind of does the trick. It says consisting of a metal tube. Now, this would be the metal tube, also known as the barrel. It's not metal here because, like I said, it's just an airsoft gun. Along with the barrel, some of the things you have is you have the clip. Now, this is where your bullets go, which is the projectile that is being fired at a high velocity, like the quote said. There's also a trigger, which is that's kind of, that's like the button, and that activates everything. You pull the trigger, the bullet fires. And then you have the buttstock, and those are just some of the main components. The buttstock, that's what you put on your shoulder. Now, this right here, this is called a shotgun. There are also several different types of firearms. There are shotguns, there's pistols, there are rifles and assault rifles. Now, pistol, those are those guns I'm sure you guys have seen them in movies and stuff. You just hold in your hand, and they're very small. Rifle is more used for like hunting and things like that, and an assault rifle, that's kind of like what the military has, but you can also use them for hunting. Now, according to Merriam-Webster.com, an assault rifle, like I said, is any various automatic or semi-automatic rifle with large capacity magazine designed for military use, like I just stated. And on top of all these guns, I'd like to say that there are several different purposes for guns. Now, according to Gallup.com, most gun owners say that they use their guns to protect themselves against crime, for hunting, and for target shooting. Now, those are some very good points. But to contrast that, that's an example of how a gun can be used for good. To contrast that, on MenPost.com it says, having a gun in your home significantly increases your risk of death and that of your spouse and children. Now, those two seem like two very contradicting statements, and they are. And it depends. And I'll address these. Now, first of all, addressing the first quote, talking about how gun owners use their guns to protect themselves, for hunting, so food, and also just for target practice, which is fun. And I'd like to say that, target practice is a lot of fun. I went shooting this weekend, and I had a great time. For protecting yourself, I think that's a very good point. I personally feel much safer knowing that there are guns in my house. If a robber breaks in at night, I wouldn't like to say that I would want to shoot the person, but, knowing that I have a gun on hand, it's like, hey, buddy, I got a gun, you want to leave. And if we didn't have guns, then it'd be like, hey, man, leave, and you'd have nothing to intimidate them with. Also, hunting, it's a great sport. People like to hunt to eat, so, those are some ways that guns are a good thing. And now for this other quote. It says, having a gun in your home significantly increases the risk of death for your spouse and children, like I said earlier. Well, I personally don't think that's true at all. People let emotions really drive some of the decisions they make. A lot of the gun activists, they pull rare cases out of statistics to, try and support that guns are bad. And I'll show an example of one. There's this dude. This is a true story. This guy, he'd moved out of his dad's house, and his dad owned a lot of guns. And he decided to rob his dad one night. I don't know why he robbed him. I didn't read that far into the story. But he broke into his dad's house at night with a mask on, and he was robbing his dad's house. And his dad came out, thought he didn't know who he was because he had a mask on, and he shot him and killed him. So all the anti-gun people, they jumped on that, and they said, well, guns are evil because this gun just killed this man's son. But you really have to step back and look at the bigger picture. First of all, why is this dude robbing his dad? That's the first problem he has. Second of all, if your dad has guns in the house, why are you robbing him? That's even more supports what I just said. And it's just people just say that, like, guns kill people, but it's not the guns that kill people. It's people kill people. And to kind of support what I just said about people kill people, I'm gonna compare guns to vehicles. And I'm not saying that a gun is like a vehicle and they're both can kill people and they're both dangerous, but I'm just gonna pull out some statistics for you guys. Now, in the United States, there are approximately 143,000 gun-related deaths each year. That's a really, really large number, and that shouldn't be. But contrastly, there are 1.3 million vehicle deaths each year, and 20 to 50 million people each year are injured due to vehicle-related deaths. Now, should we ban vehicles because vehicles kill people? No, because everybody knows a vehicle doesn't just drive around and kill people. It's the people behind the wheel. And that's the same thing with guns. It's the people behind the guns that kill people. And so, that gets to one of my other points, that it's very wise to be smart, or it's very good to be wise when you're exercising your Second Amendment right, because, I'm not saying that guns should be just, everybody should have a gun, no background checks or anything, but I think that guns should be a very, very positive thing in our societies, because, you look at Detroit, and I have some more statistics here. They have the highest murder rate in the United States. And why might that be? Well, one thing might be that they also have the highest gun control laws. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that that's why they have the highest murder rates, but it could be. That's kind of one thing that might support my stance. And 316 million people are killed because of guns each year. Gun-related murders. 316. That's more than any other state. Well, how are these people dying if they have these gun laws? Well, it's because the criminals they don't obey the gun laws. If you're a criminal and you say, you see on the news, oh, guns are now banned in Detroit, you're gonna think, oh, hey, all those good law-abiding citizens now don't have guns. I'm gonna go, rob banks, do whatever I want, and that's exactly what's happening. Another thing I think that is smart to realize when dealing with guns and your Second Amendment right is just that the idea of citizens having the right to bear arms was so to keep the government in check. People don't realize that. I'm going to read this quote from George Mason. It says, "To disarm the people is the best and most effectual way to enslave them." That's kind of a scary idea. People don't realize that, our founding fathers made these laws to keep our government in check. Government backs up. They know the people have guns to, fight back. Like Civil War stuff. And it's kind of interesting that our government is taking such a huge stance on anti-guns. It makes you wonder. I'm not saying that our government is trying to enslave us, but it's headed to the right. It's headed in that way. Look at all these socialist countries and communist countries that have gun laws, and those people are enslaved. Now, this speech has talked about the different firearms and guns. This speech has talked about different purposes for guns, and this speech has also talked about good ways to exercise your Second Amendment right. And that is all I have for you today. Thank you.